All right. So now we are moving on. We've already kind of left off in the last video on how management needs to be watching these inventory levels. We do have a lot of technology these days to help us with that. We want to balance out having enough inventory to sell versus having too much that's sitting on our shelves costing us money. Okay. So there is this thing called just in time. There is a handful of companies, and Harley Davidson is one of them. So is Dell Computer, who has managed to make this work. It sounds so good on paper, just in time inventory, where like Dell Computer, I think the only reason I think they made it work was because they made all of their suppliers move close to them and have their facilities close so that when they got an order for a computer, they could build it really, really fast and they didn't have to maintain a lot of inventory levels. Okay. Sounds great on paper for a lot of businesses, but sometimes it just doesn't work out that good. Okay. So it's just really hard. But like I said, a couple of companies have been able to do it and do it very well. Again, it's one of those things, always sounds good on paper, but not always the best. Okay. All right. So they're going to go through a couple of ratios here. We have talked about these ratios, if not in this class, in other classes. The first one we have is the gross profit ratio. This tells us how high is our markup. Okay. Are we making money buying and selling stuff? Okay. Then we have inventory turnover. Okay, inventory turnover is cost of goods sold divided by average inventory. Average inventory is beginning inventory plus ending inventory added together divided by 2. Okay, so you're going to have to go back and find the previous year's ending to get this year's beginning. Okay, the higher the ratio, the better. Okay, this tells us how many turns, how many times we've completely sold all of our inventory in a given period. Okay, remember this is going to greatly depend on the industry you're in. Okay, if you think about Walmart, Target, Kroger, they're selling stuff every day. Me and you go to the grocery store, Walmart, every single week and we buy consumables. We don't go to Furniture Row or Best Buy every day, so those type of items are not going to have as much as high a inventory turnover because just think about it, me and you don't buy a new computer every week, every day, every year. We hopefully get a couple of years out of it, especially with our furniture as well. Okay, so those are going to have different inventory turnovers. Okay. All right. So there is some methods that we have of simplifying LIFO. Okay. We have LIFO inventory pools and we have dollar value LIFO. I am going to do the dollar value LIFO over on another problem because I don't really like the slide that it's got. So we'll go through here and do the LIFO inventory pools. So what they'll do with inventory pools, they'll pull a whole bunch of groups of similar items together that have maybe similar physical similarities and things like that. And so they give us an example here. This is Diamond Lumber Company. They have rough cut lumber inventory pool that includes 3 types, pine, oak, and maple. This is our beginning inventory for all of those. So they have board feet over total cost, 98,800, and I wrote this out. 98,800 divided by 40,000 gives us an average cost pool of $2.47. Okay. So then in the next period, they purchased 50,000 board feet of lumber, 50,000, and they sell 46,000. Okay. So we're creating a layer here. Okay. So we're going to take all of that 50,000 that we purchased, total cost of 127, divide that by the 50,000, and we get $2.54. Okay. So then I've already done that calculation up there. We have our 40 at $4.47 right there. we're going to add this layer of 4,000 at $2.54 to that. So our ending inventory is 10896. Okay. All right. So let's go over to dollar value LIFO. I have a problem over here. There we go. So one thing I did not copy on this problem when I snipped it over the beginning, January 1, 2027 had $500,000 of inventory, and that was going to be the base year. Before I do this, let me jump over here because let's kind of talk about it really quick. So we make this big pool of the inventory together. We pull them together and we're going to end up having these layers. Okay. So we will take the cost index in a layer year, cost in the layer year divided by cost in the base year. Okay. So it's a three-step process. We're basically going to convert the ending inventory to a base year number, and we're going to find our dollar value layers. Okay. So now let's go over here. So the first thing we do, we're going to multiply this times 1.0, which, I'm sorry, we're going to divide it by 1.0, that first layer. All right. And that gives us 500,000. And we're going to multiply it times 1.0 because this is my base year. Okay. I didn't really have to do that, but I wanted to do it just so you could kind of see what we're going to do in the next period. All right. So we're going to come down to the end of this year, 12/31, 2027. We're going to take the 556, 500, and the cost index for that year is 1.05. Looks like we had like 5% inflation. Looks like 5% every single year. We're going to divide that by 1.05. We're going to get this in a base number. My calculator went on. I'd already worked this, but I don't have it printed out. So if we take the 556, 500, divide it by 1.05, we're putting it in base year dollars. So 530,000. Okay. So we're going to compare it to this base year. We have a layer from the first year. We'll have 500,000. Come over a little bit. We'll have 500,000 at 1. Okay. There's 30,000. A layer was created within this year of 2027. Okay. So the layer is 30,000, but we're going to multiply that one because it was created in this year of the index was 1.05. Okay. So that will give us 31,500. Okay. All right. The layers are going to build. Okay. So we're going to come down here to 12/31, 2028. And we have 596,200. We're going to divide that by 1.10, which gives us base year dollars of 542,000. Okay. Well, we know we have our layer of 500,000. And these two numbers right here have to total that number. Okay. All right. We still have our 30,000 layer. We created that layer in the year 27 at 1.05. It's still there. 31,500. Now, if we take 530,000 away from that, we end up with 12,000 units. That layer is being created in this year 28, where the cost index is 1.10. So we're going to take 12,000, multiply that times 1.10. And that gives us 13,200. I'm going to cheat really, really quick. Well, I didn't add these up. I'm sorry. This is 531,500. And then we'll add those other ones up down here. We end up with 550, I'm sorry, 544, 700. Now, this number, this problem I took from your textbook. It did not come from the slide. So I'm going to come over here really quick. There we go. So this problem is right here. But if you want to hear another video, they're actually working the problem right here in that little video. Okay, so I'm just going to come over here and cheat just a little bit. I want to make sure I got the right number. I'm on the right track with 544, 700. Theirs looks a lot neater than mine because I can't write that small. Okay, let's keep on going. All right. So then 1231, 2029, we end up with 615. 615, 250. Price index was 1.15. So we're going to get that into the base year dollars, 615,250 divided by 1.15. That gives us 535. Okay. Notice that this number is now less than it was in the previous year. Okay. We're eroding a little bit of that layer, the last layer, but there will be no layer created for 1.15. No layer for 1.15 because we're not growing a layer there. All right, so here we go. We got our 500,000 at 1.0 because that's our base year. 30,000 multiplied at 1.05, which gives us our 31,500. Now we only have, so we've got 530,000. We only need 535. So that last layer got eroded down from 12 down to 5. That's at the 1.10. Okay. Which gives us 5,500. I'm going to add that 531,500 to it, and we get a total of 537,000. Okay. We've got one more year to do in dollar value LIFO. Okay. 1231, 2030. Okay. We need 720,000 divided by 1.25 cost price index. Okay. So 720,000 divided by 1.25 gives us 576,000. Okay. We still have all our layers that we had. Sorry. I should have just copied what was up there above and pasted it. But it gives you a chance to watch me do it. Okay. So right here, we have 535. Okay. If we take the 576,000 and subtract 535,000, we end up with a layer now of 41,000. I was just checking my work just to make sure. Okay. And that will be at the price index 1.25. And that gives us 51,250. If we totaled all those up, we get, I was just kind of cheating since I had this number in my calculator. I just took this number and added what was up above to it. Just a little cheat there. So that gives us $588,250. Okay. So that is dollar value LIFO. Let's jump back over here to the PowerPoint. They did a little bit of a problem. They didn't do a very big problem in the slides. That's why I didn't really like that one. Um, so some advantages of dollar value LIFO. It simplifies the record keeping. It'll minimize the probability of that LIFO liquidation. The acquisition of new items gets put into it, it's viewed as a replacement of the dollar value of the old items. And that is all for this chapter. Now, one thing I wanted to come back over here and just let you notice how when we eroded part of that 1.1 layer, we can never get it back. Okay, doesn't matter. We did not have anything, we didn't have an increase with the 1.15. We can never get it back. It's gone forever. All right, I will see you in chapter 9.